What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another great, epic episode of Just My Opinion Reviews. Guys, we are talking Captain America 4, Captain America Brave New World, full spoiler discussion. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Me and my guests are going to spoil this film up, down, left, right, in and out as if you've already seen it. That is your warning. And also at this time, I have a non-spoiler review on my channel. E-Man has a non-spoiler review on his channel. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go check out our separate reviews first, then come back for this great collaboration. And like I said, I am greeted with the one and only Mr. E-Man with E-Man's movie reviews. Sir, how are you doing today? How are you doing?
All good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, sir. Of course. It's always a pleasure to bring you on and hear your expertise. And guys, if you're loving all of our energy, follow us on social media handles on the screen. His information is in the description box of this video. And subscribe to his channel as well. Let's help this man get to 150,000 subscribers. E-Man, as I have screamed at the top of the mountains for the past few months, this was not my most anticipated of 2025, but it was up there. You know, I am still looking forward to Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, also Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, I believe is the subtitle. But this one was up there, man. Not only because I love superhero comic book films, but this for me hit personally. You know, it's Anthony Mackie, Black American, representing Black America. This film was as important to me as, I'm going to say Wakanda Forever, Black Panther in 2018. My out of theater reaction, social media has posted. I really did enjoy the film. I ended up giving it an 8.5 out of 10. But after thinking about it, I think I might have to lower the rating a little bit to around an 8 out of 10. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It does have its mistakes. It does have some things that fall short. They don't bother me, but I hear other people being critical of it. And I'm like, you know, that's fair. That's honest. I'm not mad at you for feeling that way. You see, I got all the gear and the Perry over here, man. I ended up actually buying my first Funko Pop ever right there. So that's pretty dope. But I enjoyed the film, man. Instead of an 8.5, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 right now. And the two biggest mistakes for me to where I had to take away points is one is the editing. And two is I thought the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson, was the weakest element of the film. I didn't think it was trash. I didn't think it was garbage, but it definitely did not reach its full potential. And that is unfortunate. Other criticisms I hear, man, this ain't no Captain America movie. It is a sequel to the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Yes, that is 100% true. And if you are docking the film for that, I'm not mad at you. That is a worthy criticism. Okay, I'm not trying to come across bias over here. It didn't bother me because I liked the Incredible Hulk film, and we never did see what happened afterwards with the Hulk gamma radiation blood dripping in his head. But tying into that also a criticism, man. This was sometimes the dialogue, the exposition was like, teach me like I'm 5. You know, it was blatantly obvious that they were trying to cater to people that hasn't seen every MCU movie and Disney Plus show. Now, they have to be able to create properties to where you don't need to see everything. But, you know, that's a criticism. I got to give it to them. I loved Isaiah Bradley in this, too. But again, if you ain't seen The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, stuff gonna fly over your head. So yeah. I've talked ad nauseum. We 4 minutes in, you ain't said a word. Let me pass to you, man. Yeah. I'm trying to be fair, but you know, the floor is yours. Let me have it, because other than your tweet and your out of theater reaction on social media, I'm not sure where you land at, sir. So yeah, the floor is yours.
So and I'm assuming we'll go into more details a little later, but
of course.
You know, so first of all, you know, I admire and I always appreciate when people are excited about stuff, because I know that you were like super hype about it. And by your description of your reaction of how you want to now lower it just a little bit, this is what I used to call fanlexia, right? When you are super excited about something and all of a sudden you inflate, you you get hyperbolic about this thing when you see it and you casually ignore all the flaws. Now, it's not a dig against you.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
all guilty of that,
Yes,
right? We're
yes.
all
Right.
guilty of being super excited about something and ignoring all the flaws and being like, this movie was perfect because you wanted it to be, right?
Right.
And the cure for fanlexia is actually talking and listening to other perspectives. It's not to
Mhm.
change your mind, but it's to kind of get you out that bubble so that way you can kind of see some things that you might have, ignored. So I'm glad that you kind of got talked down a little bit. I'm glad that it didn't compromise the fact that you still enjoyed the film,
Yes.
but I'm glad that you back to earth with it, right? So that's cool. Um, now, for me, I did not go into this movie with high expectations. I did go into it almost counter to the way that you did. Not saying that I thought this movie was trash, but because of the nature of what we do and how we follow the news, I'm hearing all the reports of the reshoots. I'm hearing about how they had to bring somebody else to come in. And not reshoots are normal, by the way.
Yeah.
But when you have to bring in somebody else to redo damn near a third of the movie or all the major action sequences, that sounds like a Frankenstein type of property. And in my experience, when we see movies like that, it doesn't always pan out the same way, right? When you don't have a singular vision for a film, the audience is going to kind of pick up on that here and there. So that was one reason why I was a little apprehensive about it. And I was also apprehensive about Anthony Mackie. Many people already know I do have my criticisms about Anthony Mackie being a lead actor in movies. However, probably surprise to some people, I actually thought he did a good job as the lead in this film. At the same time, while I do think he was a good lead, I don't think this movie did him any favors. I don't think this movie, the writing and the directing, did a good job with him in this portrayal. So again, two things can be true at the same time. Um, I agree with you about the whole leader thing. That was definitely one of my criticisms as well. We can go into detail about that later. He was underwhelming. And I think that they also compromised him similar to how they compromised Kang and Ant-Man and the Wasp. It just really didn't make a lot of sense. I enjoyed Red Hulk. Thought Red Hulk was done well. Proved to me that yes, Marvel, you do know how to make a good Hulk movie if you tried. So that was a positive. I had some issues with how inconsistent Sam Wilson was. I mean, on one hand, I'm just an ordinary regular guy, but you doing half of the stuff that super soldiers do. Like, you should have been dead like 18 times in this movie. So sometimes I'm just like, y'all need to pick a lane on, is he gonna be like a super soldier or is he just not? Because it's not adding up. So it was very inconsistent for me. I like the performances. Danny Ramirez, aka Falcon, thought he stole it pretty much. Did a good job. Carl Lumley, shout out to him as well. But yeah, I mean that was it. And I think my biggest criticism is mainly the fact that, and I said this in my tweet, I couldn't tell if the marketing gave us too much or if the movie didn't have enough to offer. And what I mean by that is, if you've seen the trailer, if you've seen a poster of this movie, you know what's going to happen. You know that Red Hulk is obviously in the movie. You know that adamantium is a thing that the countries are going to be fighting for. That's it. Like, what else did this movie have to offer besides the chase for adamantium and the appearance of Red Hulk? And if we're being very specific, my problem with it is, if you knew nothing about this movie and you walked in and watched it, the way that they drew out the Red Hulk over time, it made it seem like that was supposed to be a surprise. But it obviously isn't, because he's all over the posters. He's all over the trailers. You knew Harrison Ford was going to become the Red Hulk. So the movie trying to act like, hey, look at this, we're going to drag this out until the last 10 minutes of the movie. It was like, why are you wasting my time with something that I already know is gonna happen. So, and I can go into the comics as to how they screwed that up, how they buried that, but to me, that was a knock against the film because it already like circumvents and it subverts your expectations already. So I didn't think they had much else to offer.
Right on. And I'll give you that too, because when he was, I think he was in a bunker, going through it when the leader was in his ear. I'm like, well, he's not going to transform here. He's going to
Right.
transform on the White House lawn,
Right.
unless there's two appearances and they just left this out of the marketing. But I doubt it. So
Right.
you have a good point there. But as we stated, we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and I want to start here with our biggest complaint: the leader. Um, Again, it wasn't horrible, but it didn't reach its full potential, which is very unfortunate. Now, I thought it was very clever. So going into this movie, we knew that Isaiah Bradley's mind was taken over. He tried to execute the president, but we didn't know exactly how it happened. Going in, I thought that it was the same people that was directly in control of Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes. And I'm like, oh, we still got a rogue agent out there. Go get the book off the second shelf. Flip it to page 13. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been fine, but it was actually the mind of the leader that took the DNA, the genetic makeup of all of his victims, and somehow configured a way with music and other technology to brainwash them. That worked for me 100%. I thought that was very, very innovative. I liked it. Did not see it coming. What did not work for me is this. So they said in the film, when the blood of Branner dripped in his head, he didn't get the strength, he got the brains. And we know he's one of the smartest people on the planet. I mean, his intellect matches the whole strength to a degree. So you're telling me that you was trapped for 16 years and couldn't free yourself when you're that I mean, you have the ability to mind control people with music from around the world in a bunker, and you actually have mind control over the soldiers at this time that was attacking Sam. But was he a prisoner that he couldn't escape? Like, okay, if you do this for me, like you'll set me free. And after 16 years, this is all you want, bro. If your intellect matches the Hulk's strength, and you have 16 years, you suck. You need to be ruling the world with an iron fist or a snap of a finger. That's a lot of freaking time, E-Man.
Yes,
and you in the basement the whole time. Tell me I'm missing something, bro.
I mean, he was kind of sort of like, the president made him a promise, and the president was like, or Ross. I'm sorry, he had like Ross kind of basically had a carrot in front of him. Like, hey, if you do this, I'm gonna help you. Hey, if you do this, I'm gonna pardon you. Hey, if you do this, we're gonna find a cure for you. Whatever. Like, I honestly, I didn't even care about that. I didn't care. It clearly, because the reason why I say that is because he was able to break out eventually.
Yeah.
And he did have his backup plan, which was, I'm going to poison the president by turning him, upping his dosage and stuff like that. So he technically kind of got away with that. But like, my bigger issue was the fact that how did you get outsmarted, or not even outsmarted? You got defeated by a regular guy. You got defeated by Sam Wilson, and the fact that he sat here and was like, oh, I never accounted for you, or I didn't think that you were wait a minute. How you going to calculate everything to the 19,000 millionth degree, but then you couldn't counter him?
Yeah.
You couldn't put a contingency plan in place for Sam? Are you kidding me? So, and even that, I was like, when we get to the end of the movie, I'm like, why are you even giving yourself up? Like, what is the point of you coming out and be like, you foiled my plans, but at least he'll turn into Red Hulk, and then you just go to the raft? Like, unless you tell me that's part of your plan too. At least tell me that, like, you're still working behind the scenes and this is all orchestrated, because it does not make sense that, as supposedly smart as you are, that you getting caught off by surprise. That does not make sense. And I'll just draw people to go look at the Flash TV show. That was probably the best depiction of the thinker, who is similar to the leader. That is how you do it, right? Like, the thinker was giving Flash problems for the whole season. Every time Flash tried to come up with something, Thinker was like, I'm 5 steps ahead of you already. That did not happen in this movie. And that's where they let the leader down. And I think it was a very big, underwhelming disappointment.
I do, yeah. I agree with everything you said. I appreciate that. Also, tying into that, man, some of the editing towards the end was awful. They, you knew that they were not in the same location when right where the leader showed up and was, they showed the full reveal of his face and he's looking at the camera. Then it switches to Sam and he's looking at the camera. I don't think they was there at the same time. I
Well,
also
this is
don't.
the reshoots.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the reshoots were all about the big action sequences. So the White House, the sea battle, all those big moments, they had to completely Frankenstein those things together. So
yeah.
the fact that you noticed that, I think they didn't do a good job to make it
They,
seamless.
Yeah, they did not. Unfortunately, everybody's using that term, Frankenstein's, and that's accurate. And tying in with the leader, like, okay, real quick on the action, I am a 100% satisfied with all the action in this movie, um, and even the climactic third act. Some people are kind of anti. I'm satisfied with it. It was all planned, even though it was cool to look at and executed. Very nice, in my opinion. The journey to get there being the basis of the leader's plan, yeah, it just didn't make sense. You're trying to make the president look bad, and it just seemed like creating a world war is just completely unnecessary. You don't need to do that. You should be strong enough with your mind to just come up with some other way, some other scenario. So it was cool, just the journey to get there. I did not like. And also, I am 100% satisfied with the Captain America Hulk fight. Brilliant. Everybody was complaining, saying, how is he going to fight the Hulk without the super soldier serum? I thought that was executed quite nice because Sam barely survived. He got beat up. If he didn't have that 360-degree vibranium shield, that takes on all the kinetic energy and disperses it, you're out of there. I mean, the Hulk knocked him, he pinballed between 2 or 3 cars. So I like that he was kind of getting ragdoll like that and just like, barely being able to survive. And even in the way that the Hulk was taking out of thing, like he has so much of that energy, built up in that wing and just stabbed him. And the Ross, he not used to the powers, you know what I'm saying? So I was suspending my disbelief and all that, E-Man looking like, nah, B. But it worked for me. It worked for me. But the journey that he got, the way he turned into the Incredible Hulk with Ross in his ear and the pills and all that, that didn't really work for me. But the fight itself, I was like, hey man, I'm impressed. I really don't. From the time the first attack was thrown from the last, I have no complaints with the Hulk versus Captain America fight. How about you?
So I like the visuals. I like
Okay.
the visuals of Red Hulk going insane. I mean, this is literally what we've been begging for with the regular Hulk, right? Like we just want him to just be strong, destroy things, and just be a problem. And that's what he was doing, right? Like when after he first transformed, he's ripping up half of the White House and everything. That was a joy to see. That was entertaining. And I agree to a degree about the fight with Sam. To me, I did enjoy the fact that, like, yeah, obviously Sam is not going to be able to hold his own against any Hulk, right? And of course, you need some some level of spice and flavor with those lemon pepper Wakandan wings to even stand a chance of survival. So I'm glad that I know some people don't like the fact that he got Wakandan stuff. I'm okay with it, except for the fact that in the execution of the fight, there were far too many instances where a regular man would not be able to sustain himself. The moment this man started getting thrown around, and the moment he did not have the protection of the wings, he should have died. Period. Okay, not just like, oh, I got some dirt on my face and a little scratch above my eyebrow. No, sir, you should be crippled. Okay, because no, unless, and I don't believe he had it, unless you had a vibranium suit
There you
that would
go.
absorb all of it, that's different. Now, to my knowledge, it was only his wings and the shield that are vibranium, not his suit. So after that last wing came off, bro, you cannot take of being thrown into the cement. You cannot take having all them rocks and boulders and stuff on top of you and you still talking. That's not realistic. If it was Steve Rogers, if it was Bucky, yes. But this is just one of the examples of what I'm saying. It took me out of the mindset of believability when I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be a regular guy. After all of it, first of all, you got stabbed, and then you're gonna talk about, oh, I had a Kevlar thing. That knife was inside you. It didn't like bend and fall off. You got stabbed and you was walking around with a whole knife in your chest. How are you breathing? You know, so
I-
yeah, man. I'm and then I'll just say this last point. The fact that Sam had to use his real superpower at the very end to defeat Red Hulk, that was anticlimactic. The man had to come out here and defeat Red Hulk with some therapy. Get out of here. Get
Hey,
out of here. And I agree. I agree. The only way you can really defeat Hulk is if you can outmatch him, but that's rarely anyone, or if you can get him to calm down. And my thing is, the whole time I was thinking to myself, okay, Betty has got to show up because y'all been building Betty Ross up, his daughter. She would be the only one that reasonably would make sense to calm him down because that is his weakness, right? It's the same way how Betty was the weakness for Hulk in the other movies, or how Natasha was a weakness for Bruce, in the other movie. That at least would have been consistent. It would have made sense. That's how you stop the rage. But this man just gonna sit here and give him a counseling session? Come on, man. Even for a comic book movie, that was whack to me.
well, at least they didn't kill the character, which,
No, sure. Yeah.
yeah. So that would have been crazy, and that's definitely one character you don't want to kill. I hear you, man. It didn't bother me. Some you if what you I got to see it again to
Sure.
to lock it in, but if what you said had actually happened, I can give you 100%. But to me, the wing was part of the like when he was bouncing around, he was wrapped up in the wing. So
Yeah.
that's
I'm
what
not talking about those
took
parts.
the
I'm not
okay.
like I'm not, and I'm with you on that. Like
Okay.
when you have the wings and they absorb the energy, yes, you should be fine. However, even with that, there is a certain, like, vibranium is not impenetrable. It has a limit. So at some point, you need something else broken. Like, you can only take so much force. That's why you usually see Black Panther or Captain America, because they're already enhanced individuals that can take that amount of brunt force, even when vibranium reduces it. It just reduces it by a lot. But you still can't be no regular guy
Okay.
taking on that kind of force. Like
Okay.
at a certain point, and I know they showed him with a little broken arm at the end, but like, bro, he should have been in a wheelchair. Okay, with all that, he should have been in a wheelchair.
Guys, we definitely want to hear your thoughts and let us know. Let's talk about this character right here, Sawwander, Giancarlo Esposito. Man, he was badass to me. I have no complaints. Some people said, hey, man, he was underutilized. I mean, yeah, you could have used him more, but that's not a knock. I liked him. When that cop pulled up that patrol car and he was real calm and collected and turned around and emptied the magazine, I was like, oh, yeah, this dude is not scared at all. The way he shot up Sam's car, then threw the grenade, kill confirmation, T minus 5 seconds. I liked him, man. And they did not kill him. That's one of the main things I'm happy because I want to see him come back. I don't know anything about Sidewinder in the comics to know if this
You
is
don't want to.
comic accurate at all, but he looks goofy. But you
Yes.
look disappointed. E-Man. How did you feel about Giancarlo?
I mean, so Giancarlo is he's a fantastic actor, right? Like, this is a guy who has, in my opinion, when he's in a movie, he's never the bad part about it. He only enhances it to some degree. So to me, I agree with the idea of the underutilization, not of the character, but of the fact that you use somebody of this talent for such a meandering character like Sidewinder. I mean, Sidewinder is literally a throwaway character. Insert whatever actor you want here, and that's it. And we're talking about somebody who, by the way, who had the potential as an actor that people were like, we want him as Magneto, we want him as Professor X. This is a guy who should have a much more commanding role. And to give him such a minor role, I don't care if he's coming back multiple times. You're still giving him like a miniature role, or you're going to overinflate this minor role to be more than it really needs to be. So I don't like that for him. But in terms of his execution, he did the job. He showed up to work. He did his lines. He was clearly, a good opposing force for Sam. And that was fine. I mean, it was fine. Like, I don't know how far you can go with a side character like that, but he did his job.
Yeah, right on. I'm glad we agree for the most part there. And we're leading up to this film. We both have talked about how Kevin Feige is walking, needs to be careful with setting up our expectations, saying that, hey, they are going after the same tone as Winter Soldier, which is arguably top three best in the whole MCU, if not the best. That's a tall glass of water, man. And it's do you really want to put it hype it up like that? Was this movie as good as Winter Soldier? No, it wasn't. But I still think they captured the tone. It was serious. Something that helped me was it was a lot of scoring in this, a lot of great composition, a lot of sound effects I've never heard before in the MCU. It was, at the very least, it was more serious. We both have been critical that sometimes Marvel kind of gets crazy with all the jokes, and I thought that they were minimal in this. That still doesn't mean that all of them landed, because they didn't. That mostly comes from this gentleman right here, Mr. Torres, who is coming through as the Falcon. Overall, E-Man, I liked his character. I did, especially the conversation that they had at the very end of the film, where he was in bed recovering, and Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, was saying the pressure of taking on the mantle of Captain America. Love that scene. And I really did. I wasn't tripping on the little dance number he did when he beat up the goons in the forest or whatever. But some of the jokes that did not work for me, one was when Bucky showed up, and we'll talk about that in a second. But another, man, when he met with Carl Lumbly, Isaiah Bradley, when I understand at first when you don't know who he is, but when it was established, like, no, this is one of the OGs right here. And he was like, hey, do you want me to blow up the numbers on your phone? Can you see that? That was annoying. I didn't really like that. I mean, it just was unnecessary. Well, actually, no, it was annoying. It was annoying. And so I say all that to say, for the most part, I like the tone of this film. I like how serious it was. I like that the jokes were minimal. But if I'm going to be critical about any humor, any jokes, any funny moments, it was because of Torres right here, which came across a bit forced at times, which I just mentioned. How do you feel about his inclusion?
I liked him. I'm very okay with. I don't believe that every MCU movie needs humor. I think that humor should be regulated to the characters that it works best for. If I'm watching an Ant-Man movie, if I'm watching a Deadpool movie, give me the humor at that point, right? But if I'm supposed to be watching something else like this, like, I don't really need to laugh at this point. If you want to throw it at the end, just because everybody saved the day and we can relax, that's fine too. But in my opinion, I don't think it's really necessary. But it also didn't bother me. It wasn't it wasn't to the point where I was just like, oh man, this is too much. We were not getting in Thor Love and Thunder territory at all, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I like Danny Ramirez in this. I thought he did a good job. I liked him as Falcon. I think he can develop into a fan favorite character. So yeah, like, I had no problem with him. Not to that degree anyway.
Right on, right on. Also, man, this criticism coming up is mixed between fans since 2008, where the inclusion of extra characters in films, sometimes I don't mind, sometimes I'm like, okay, given the plot and the story, this character needs to be in this film. Seeing that World War III is about to pop off, and this has to deal with the president and Captain America, we had him in Secret Invasion, which needs to be retconned, but Don Cheadle's War Machine should have been in this movie. Given an opinion
Maybe.
somewhere, huh?
Maybe.
Yeah, I just feel that he should have been. And you know, I feel that he should be in this film. Maybe Thunderbolts too, but we haven't seen it yet. But I mean, this is politics and government. He works for the government. High at that, and the Avengers. Thunderbolt wants to rebuild the Avengers. War Machine was on the Avengers, so why is he not in the conversation?
I was thinking about this because at first I was thinking like, yo, where the hell is everybody? Like, you only got now half of the Spider-Man's in New York, so he busy. You know, he can't web sling fast enough to get to DC. You know, Iron Man's dead. Steve Rogers is on the moon somewhere. Who else? Wakanda, they minding their business.
Yeah.
Ant-Man, he ain't got time for all that. He can't fly. You know, but like, yeah, Vision, God knows where Vision is. Wanda's dead. You know, like everybody else is doing some other stuff, right? But Rhodey, I was thinking to myself, like, yo, you probably live in DC. Where are you? I think we have to assume. Oh yeah, and Nick Fury is off world hitting them scroll cheeks up there in space, so he's clearly not available either. But Rhodey, I think we have to assume that he's still recovering from whatever happened after Secret Invasion. Because remember, he was up on them tubes. He was, you know, so we don't know what that recovery time looks like. And I think that's the only excuse he has.
Good scapegoat, and that's stretching it, man. Because he should be.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch.
He should be here. That doesn't make any sense, man. It just doesn't, you know.
And Hulk is playing fetch with his son too.
Yeah,
so.
Right. Yeah, there you go. They called Thaddeus the Hulk Hunter. That's a new term right there.
Yeah.
But somebody else that did pop up in this film, I'm like, whoa, at least he did pop up from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And that's Bucky. You know, we had a scene with Bucky. I feel like he still should have been in the film more, given his position, given his relationship with Sam. But at least he was a no-show like War Machine. I liked the scene. It was nice. But they threw that Joker in there at the end. It didn't ruin it for me, but I was like, it wasn't necessary. How'd you feel about the inclusion of Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, sir?
I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, it's absolutely nice, and it was a nice little. That was probably the only time in my audience that this movie got like a real pop. You know, and people were like, "Hey, yeah," you know, like because people really like Bucky, and I like Bucky too. Like I'm a fan. But my issue is this is something that kind of is a bit of an annoyance, especially when it comes to Black characters that are trying to establish themselves in their own right. I don't like it when they need the white character handicap. I don't like it when Miles Morales needs a Peter Parker to show up just to solidify him. Now, in the first movie, that's fine. In the first Falcon and Winter Soldier, fine. But once you start having your own solo projects, I don't like this idea of we need to bring in this white character to make everybody else feel happy, comfortable, or safe, or whatever. Same thing I could argue with Creed. In the first Creed movie, absolutely, you need Sly Stallone, you need Rocky, pass the mantle, cool. Second movie, you overstaying your welcome. Third, like, why does it need 3 Creed movies until Creed can finally be by himself? So it's the same thing with Sam. If we're trying to say that he's Captain America, if we're trying to say that you can, you know, do this and rock on your own, I don't really like the idea of like, man, we really wouldn't feel complete unless Bucky was around somewhere. And I'm sure you've seen it already. You already know there's a certain small contingency of people that still believe Bucky should be the Captain America and he should be, you know, and it's like the more you keep him around and you don't allow Sam to just fully embrace this, you're going to keep that alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, let him cook on his own. So, and by the way, the other thing I didn't like about this scene was when the hell was he running for Congress? And why? Like, what? that seems so out of left field. I'm just like, I don't even know why, of all people, y'all would take a brainwashed super soldier to be like, let me go run for Congress. This is why the MCU world in itself needs to just blow up and start over.
We may be getting that, man. We may be getting that.
I hope so.
That's a valid point, man. Because, you know, subconsciously, unfortunately, a lot of us are still brainwashed and need that white approval. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. Actually, I will. E-Man.
Ooh,
yeah. I am surprised I thought this was going to deal a lot with race, and it didn't.
Ha!
It didn't, or at least I don't think it did. I don't know what that laugh means, but we're finna find out. I mean,
Yeah.
there were two scenes. Now, I'm not saying that it was necessary that they should have put it in there, and the movie sucks because they didn't. I would have appreciated it. The movie still worked without it, but I was walking out. I was like, they didn't really touch it at all. And because you just know in real, I mean, I look at it as just an example. I'm not saying pro or con. You know, Obama was the first black president, half black, and a lot of people felt a certain type of way, regardless of his policies, just because he was black. They did not want him to take on the position. They did not want him to take on the role. Okay. I'm not here to talk about Obama's policies just because he was black. I'm not saying that you feel that way, but there are people in the world or this country that felt that way. Same thing with this movie. There are just some people that did not want Sam Wilson to take on the role of Captain America. And I would have liked it if we got a response of the people, even if it was in some type of montage newsreel, you know, like, yeah, black Captain America. He's not my Captain America, something, you know what I'm saying? And it cuts away. You know, that would have been cool. But not only that, I also would have appreciated a public response of Thaddeus as president. Because his colleagues, when he's in the war room and stuff, talking to the leaders of the world, they're like, "You're a hawk hunter." You know what I'm saying? You wasted money doing this, doing that, behind it. So we didn't get. Not only did we not get a public opinion of the president, but also of Sam Wilson taking on Captain America, a black man. That's something that I just knew we were gonna get. Maybe they cut it out the film. They probably did. It's probably left on the cutting room floor. But what are your thoughts on that, man? I'm very, very curious.
How much time we got left? So
Yeah, go ahead.
first
Go
of all,
ahead.
and I want you to. I think you said you wanted to see this again, so
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
going to watch this movie again. But if you do
Damn.
go see it again, I want you to pay attention because to my recollection, and I was
Oh,
trying to keep count.
real quick.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Does this have to do with also your tagline lacks political punches, or it pulls
Yes,
away? Okay.
yes.
Proceed.
So
Proceed.
I want you to track, if any, because when I was trying to count, I didn't count any. See how many times the word black comes up, because I
Oh.
did not see a single time that black came up. Like, I'm a black man representing capital, nothing of that. I don't
Okay.
think any racial anything was in this. So in other words, they whitewashed this
Okay.
black Captain America to be the most politically safe MCU movie to date,
Let
which
me
is
make you big.
sad. And the reason why I say it's sad, I need people to really understand this. This is not about trying to be a race baiter. It's not about trying to pull on the race card or anything. The point of Captain America is to be a representation of the ideals that America strives for. That's why Anthony Mackie was not wrong when he was saying America should not be in the description or the definition of what Captain America is. He is all the things that America wants to be when America grows up. And if you look at the history of Captain America from the 1940s, what did he do from the jump? He punched Hitler straight in the face. Why? Because he was against fascism. He was against authoritarianism. That was the point. Captain America goes against certain political ideologies or certain situations that a country is facing, and he rises above it and brings everyone together. So if he can punch Hitler and say, yo, fascism is wrong, and if Captain America Winter Soldier that everybody loves, if he can sit here and say, yo, government overreach is wrong and we should rise above that and unite, then there's no reason why Sam Wilson shouldn't say, hey, racism is wrong, we should rise above that and be together. They missed this opportunity to do that with Sam, all because of the social media potential backlash, which has always been in bad faith, and it's always been a projection from more than not white supremacist ideology. That's right. It's people that believe in white supremacist ideology that project all these negative things on Sam Wilson, and Marvel had the opportunity to take that because that was the source material. If you look at almost 90% of the comics with Sam becoming Captain America, it had to do with race. And you have to take that on and show people how to overcome it. That's literally what Marvel's been doing from the comics from the jump. They've always taken with the X-Men or with, other black characters or whatever, they would take all these discrimination situations or issues and they'd be like, hey, this is how we can be better. So it was really cowardice, in my opinion, for Marvel Studios to run from that. Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of teased it, but in this movie, they erased every single ounce of it. So I better not hear not one word about how woke this movie is or anything, because listen, this movie is not Black Lives Matter. This movie is All Lives Matter, and that's it. So I don't want to hear no complaints, but they pulled every political punch possible in this movie, and it's a shame because Captain America is not supposed to be politically safe. Captain America is literally always supposed to be political. That's the whole point. And if they didn't want to do this, they shouldn't have made this movie. And that's why I say Anthony Mackie deserved better. This movie did not serve him well, and it sucks. It sucks because of that.
Man, yeah, I like it, man. I like it, sir. I do. I can't add anything else. I repeat everything you just said. Even in my non-spoiler review, I was like, yeah, if anybody trying to call this woke, you're lying. You're lying, you're a liar. I said the exact same thing. You can't say that. You just, if you don't like the movie, that's fine. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But ain't nothing woke about it. Nothing woke about this movie. Yeah, it's not. It's not woke about nothing. Who I want to talk about? Where do I have the image? I do. Isaiah Bradley, one of my favorite parts of the film. I spoke about two of the scenes that reminded me a little bit of blackness. It was like I said one at the end between Sam and Torres when he was talking about the pressure of the mantle, and also the hands up, don't shoot, where he was running through the courtyard or whatever, and all the cops were swarming in on him, and they was putting the gun. Bro, I didn't know if they was gonna shoot or not. Man, I was scared. I was like, and they have a valid 100% reason to do it too. Unlike in real life, where it's the opposite of that. They actually was justified here. And Sam was acting, man. I was convinced. I was nervous. Sam was nervous. Like, you cannot shoot this great American. I was nervous, bro. And the way that Isaiah got on the knees and was just scared too. Like, I don't know how I got, bro. We was in there talking about adamantium, and then I was, whoa. It got me. And it felt like real life a bit for me. I'm not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. But I love that. You can speak on that also. And also, I just enjoyed him throughout the film. Because of this movie, I would love to see a flashback Disney Plus series of him being experimented on, him fighting Bucky, ripping off his arm, the mission to Korea. Please give us that. Black people in general will just show up. But I also like the scene. I spoke about it earlier when they were showing him how he was showing Sam's training. I was like, that makes sense why Sam can fight a little bit better. He's training with the super soldier. He's training with Captain America. It worked for me. You disagree? Go ahead, sir. How you feel?
I disagree a lot. The Isaiah thing. My biggest issue with the Isaiah thing is that, and I love Carl Lumley. I actually thought he gave a solid performance, because when he started saying like, I can't go back, I'm not going back, I almost got a little choked up, because, you can just think of like, black man served your country, was abused by your country, and then, now, they're trying to send you right back to it. Like, you just can't, you feel he communicated that sense of feeling defeated by a system that you kind of work so hard either for or against. And that, to me, I thought was really, really good. But the problem I had was the fact that this movie, I feel like it didn't serve his character either, because I'm sitting there thinking like, what would have happened if they just replace, Carl Lumley's Isaiah with like any other person? What if they just put like another black military person in who got brainwashed and, was being accused, and like, it probably would not have changed all that different. The only difference might have been how hard Sam would have went to fight for that person. But to me, I was just kind of like, I felt like they could have used him more, Maybe he had more in the reshoots and they cut that out. I keep hearing from the scoopers and stuff that they took a lot of plot points out of this movie. Maybe we could talk about that a little later. But in terms of his training for Sam, no, my issue is just the fact that once again, it's harder for me to believe that this is a guy who does not have the super serum, but yet he's doing the same moves as someone with the super soldier serum. Every time he jumps in the air and does all these backflips and twirls and twists and stuff like that, like, bro, don't tell me you a regular man when I saw Steve Rogers doing that in Age of Ultron.
No.
All I'm saying is visually, how can someone tell the difference? If you walked in and you had no knowledge of Marvel, all you knew was Captain America, how would anyone really know the difference between Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers? Because they're doing damn near the same moves.
Let me know when I can tag in.
Bombed in a church, he's getting his butt whooped, and he's just
exactly.
All right,
let's
go.
That's the answer to your question. He got power bombed. He was getting whooped. Man, I'm definitely pushing back right here.
I'm not saying that the fact that he got power. I'm saying the fact that he's durable as hell.
He has that thick ass suit on. And, okay, let's
not vibranium.
Okay. Before this, I was just ready with my ammo. I was like, anybody want to challenge me about this about Cap 4? I'm ready. Because people were saying like, oh, the choreography and the fighting was so much better in Winter Soldier. Between Winter Soldier and Cap when they was in the street twirling all the knives. Of course, those were two super soldiers fighting each other, where Sam is a human fighting regular humans. And so people were saying that in this movie, it was a bit more choppy. I mean, that's why you have humans versus humans and super soldiers versus super soldiers. But E-Man, in this movie, he was getting whooped by 2, 3, 4 people at once. One person actually took the shield out of his hand, and he had to be innovative to get it back and come out on top. So for me, visually, that's what gives me the difference in abilities as far as strength and endurance, etc. And also, he beat those people up. But Cap the Steve Rogers wouldn't have had no hard time with that big giant. But Sam Wilson got power drive, but he was still able to use his mind to get out the situation, fight on the ground, and kick his legs and come out on top. So I mean,
I want you, when you go back and rewatch, because I'm not disputing the fact that he has to fight other people. All I'm gonna ask you to do is look at how he moves and tell me if it's vastly different than how Steve used to move. And I'm talking about even with the shield, because even in the comics, the reason why Steve is so good with the whole, throwing the shield and having the geometry work perfectly, it's because of his super soldier mind.
Okay.
That's the reason why. And I get it. They're trying to play it off saying like, oh, he trained and man, that's a whole lot of training to have that much perfect luck to throw your shield that accurately every single time.
Okay.
It's just it stretches possibility. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
It's a very big stretch.
I will give you the shield throwing, but the punches and kicks was earned to me.
I won't even say some. Most of them, yes. Like when he's doing the close quarters fighting and stuff, I'm cool with that. No argument with that.
Okay,
I'm saying when you start jumping and doing aerobatics and you doing 450 fists, split turns in the air and stuff, bro, give me a break. A regular person would be tired at that point. I
will give you a couple of the shield throws. I will give you a couple of the shield throws, but I looked at it. I was like, Sam been training his ass off, because I was going there because we kind of tease each other indirectly and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you be like, Sam can't fight, and I'll be watching it live, and I'll be over here like, oh, shut up. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to admit it. You know what I'm saying? But I went in this like, okay, I hope A-Man is not gonna be right, and he's gonna be getting whooped. But I walked out like, wait a minute. Okay, he did his due. And physically.
He did it. Listen, I'll say it too. He did a better job fighting. And again, I don't have a problem with him fighting. All I'm saying is I wish. It seems like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. I'm a regular guy, but yet I'm doing stuff that super soldiers do. Like, there has to be a bigger delineation and differentiation between the two for us to really be like, okay, there's something special about Sam, because that's the whole point, right? Even he would say, like, man, I wish I had the super soldier serum and stuff like that. I can't tell why you need it. I can't, because you're holding your own against a Red Hulk. You're fighting everybody with little to no problem. You getting power bombed, you like, all right, let's get started. Like, what? Like, bro, at some point, you have to show me, if you want me to root for you, why an everyday man can do what you're doing, because you're looking more like a super soldier to me. You look more like a super soldier.
I could tell the difference. He did his thing, but he could have done better. I mean, him getting power bombed and his shield being taken away, and then the way that he struggled a little bit with Sidewinder and barely survived, and then him getting beat up bloody against the Hulk. That's why second half of the movie he was like, I should have took the serum. I should have took the serum. So I like that he was saying that and questioning it. I also like the fact that he did. I want him to take the serum eventually. In Doomsday or Secret Wars, I want him to take the serum because all the Thunderbolts got it. So
and they're crazy.
Well, when you have multiversal threats and universe ending, we need everybody A++. I would like. I mean, I won't be mad if you don't get it, but
you ruin his uniqueness, and that's why I think people need to stop trying to push that on him. I know it's the comic fan, fantasy in us that we like to see these superhero people, and I totally get that. But I mean, it's almost like saying, man, I really wish Batman would take some, drug or whatever and become like Superman. Then he wouldn't be Batman. You cannot keep taking away the uniqueness of the characters, because that's literally what makes them special. He's special as Captain America because he doesn't have the super soldier serum. That's the whole point.
That's why I like that he didn't take it in this film. Because I did go in saying to myself, I want to see a full movie of him without the serum, and we got that. So you're right. You're not wrong in what you just said. So the middle ground for me is like, okay, we got a full movie of him as the lead without the serum. Maybe eventually he will get it, just to make the fighting more epic. There was a lot of controversy about this character Sabra. I don't know anything about her.
Sabra
and she didn't need to be. I didn't dislike her character, but if she was gone, I wouldn't have missed her. Do you have any thought?
Can we be honest?
Yeah, of course, please.
I was so distracted with how short this lady was. Okay. Like the whole time, I was just like, she's a little person. She's so tiny. Just the way the shots were and the camera, and I was just so distracted by that because so many times I was like, okay, I get it. She's a Black Widow, but ain't no way y'all gonna tell me a 4 foot, 102 pound lady about to take down 5 dudes. Like I was just kind of like, man, y'all stretching this.
Yeah.
Y'all stretching this, but for the character, I mean, she was okay. It was another Black Widow. Like, all right. I don't know what people were expecting. I don't know where else this was supposed to go with it, but whatever. She was another Black Widow, or former Black Widow.
Yes. I love her name from she's my age. Los Angeles, California.
And they stole that scene straight up from Iron Man 2.
I don't remember.
When Black Widow was going against all them dudes and beating them up in Iron Man 2, that's when she first revealed herself.
Oh, okay. What did you think of?
Like, y'all finna do the Iron Man 2 scene? Okay.
What did you think of, if I'm pronouncing this right, Josha Roquemore?
I'm not even gonna try that. But I thought that she was also wasted in this movie. And again, if you were to look at some of the scenes that were shot before, you saw her talking with Sam, and it was at a funeral or at a gravesite, I believe. Now, this is just me spitballing here, but I believe the original story that probably got scrapped might have been from the comics. And that was Thunderbolt Ross had died, or at least he faked his death. And Betty Ross showed up, and, everybody was mourning him. And then that's when the Red Hulk shows up later. And then people were supposed to be surprised that it was actually Thunderbolt Ross that was the Red Hulk. but of course they buried all that and changed it. But I say all that because old girl, I think, was supposed to be Sam's love interest. And that
Mm.
also kind of bothered me that to this day, Sam is almost like a robot. Like, we don't know if this man likes women or men. We don't know anything about him. Meanwhile, Bucky goes on dates. Steve is traveling through time to find his boo thing. Like, everybody else can have a relationship, and all that's saying is not like, oh man, we got to see them knock boots or nothing like that. I'm just saying it helps fully develop the character when we can see that, hey, you can be mad, you can be sad, you can be happy. Oh, look, you can have a love interest. Even Sam and not Sam, Bruce and Natasha had their own little you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so Sam can't have nothing?
You're
Like,
right.
he can't have nothing? Like, old girl, the power broker kind of flirted with him and he just ignored that. Just nothing. Like, they just
Yeah.
got to be
Yeah.
asexual. So I don't know. I think that there was something there for old girl. She could have done, or she probably had more with Sam in their friendship or whatever, or maybe even relationship, but we'll never know now.
This is true. About that, it would have been nice to see. I talked about it would have been nice to see a public opinion of Sam as Captain America. Well, it would also been nice to see more family ties because
Sure.
we did see his family in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, I mean, at least a phone conversation. Sis, man,
Yeah.
President asked me to be the Captain America. What you think? You know what I'm
Listen,
saying?
they did a
Something.
full 180. I feel like they undid almost everything that they set up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, keep in mind, this was the same dude that barely could even get a loan from a bank,
And he
but
could.
now,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, whatever headquarters he's at or whatever. I'm like, bro, you look like you living pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like,
I do.
you
Yeah.
sure you
Yeah.
struggling?
I do
You
like the
know?
fact he was showing respect and like among all his colleagues and people, they was like, oh, this is. I did like that. That's because you're
Well,
right. He couldn't get a loan, and well, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, that to me was also, it felt artificial. Like, it felt like
Really,
we're gonna skip all the racial stuff and we're just gonna be like, you know what? It's been 3 months, 5 years, whatever, however long it was, and you're just accepted. Everyone just accepts you.
I
That's
give you
it.
that. I
If
give
there
you that.
was any racial tension, you're not gonna see it. We're not gonna talk about it. Everyone just accepts you as Cap. That's it. And here's a free beer.
Yeah, and this is obvious to a lot of non-black people. We're not looking for no pity parties over here. Trust me.
No,
But I mean, we could.
it's a
And
reality.
yeah, thank
Like,
you.
it would be a
We
reality.
can
Let's be honest.
walk into a room and tell when we accept it, and we can walk into a room and tell when people are giving us a side eye. It's just been that way since we were born. Yeah, it's a reality, like Eman said. But yeah, it would have been nice to see more family ties. And going back, my problem with this character here in Sabra is I
Mhm.
don't like it in the MCU when they introduce new characters that have nothing to do with anything and ignore old established characters without bringing them back up. Give you an example, Wakanda Forever. We got introduced to a new Dora Milaje with Michaela McCall, but there was no exploration on Ao, who's been there since when Civil War, when she charged with Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. Like I have nothing against Michaela McCall, but I would rather see Ao, who has already been here. Like, what is she like? Same thing with this character right here. We talked about Sabra and this black chick. Okay, this should have been taken. Where's Kobe Smulders? Asian Maria Hill.
She's dead.
Damn, you're right.
she's she's gone.
All right. Foolish mistake right there.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all. I'm gonna leave. I ain't gonna edit it out. I'm gonna leave it in. So get your laughs out. Put in the comments. B ain't paying attention. 1 point for E man. I messed up right there. I messed up. Well,
All good. All good.
okay, he's dead too. Okay, my fault.
Yeah, he's dead too. Yeah.
They do need to. They do need to retcon Secret Invasion though, because that was trash. At least the ending was. I think we covered pretty much everything. E-Man. Again, the action, the Red Wing. When Sam was okay. I love the action. We talked more about the hand to hand, but what he was doing with those wings, bro. I was impressed, man.
No, he did some good stuff with the wings.
When
Yeah.
at the very beginning, where he came down and the shockwave blew out, what they did with the camera made it speed up and zoom down. I was blown away. When when the leader was taking control over the fighter pilot's brain and having them shoot the U.S. Soldiers, Air Force, whatever, Marines, and Sam and Torres, Falcon, and he said, Red Wing, get him off my back. And Red Wing took the shield and was flying, blocking the bullets for Sam. Bro, I was like, ah, that was clean. I don't care. You're gonna get this geekasm right here, bro. I was like, I was like, it wasn't that many people on my screen, but I was like, do y'all see this? This is badass. Like, and everything else, like, I was nodding, like, man, this is serious right here, man. How'd you feel about it, man? Because I obviously loved it.
I thought that was I thought those were like the highlights of the film. The overseas battle over Celestial Island. I really enjoyed that. I thought the cinematography at that point was really good. Obviously, that was one of the scenes that they did in the reshoots. That was one of them. One of the big action sequences. Okay. But they did a good job. Like, I was like, this looks a lot better, than whatever I guess y'all had before. But yeah, I thought they shot that very well. It gave me Top Gun Maverick vibes, if not more or better. But yeah, I thought they did a really, really good job with that. That stood out.
Right on, man. I hate to cut it short. I gotta bounce. We are filming this Thursday, February 13th at 3:18 p.m. So this movie opened up to the general public about an hour and 15 minutes ago. Rotten Tomatoes right now is at 51%. Oh. That's unfortunate. We can't say that the majority of the critics did like it. I think my review is in here and E-Man, so we did contribute. Yeah. What sucks about this, E-Man, is there's 35 movies in the MCU. This is third from the bottom on RT. You know what has a higher rating than this? Captain Marvel.
Yikes.
What the hell? We also have The Marvels has a higher rating than that. I don't believe it. Eternals, I know you don't like Eternals. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if we can really judge and compare these movies like that, because each of these movies came at a different time, and they always came against different sets of expectations. So, and one of my critiques against Cap 4 is that this should have came out years ago. And unfortunately, it was a victim of the pandemic where they had to delay things and, again, with the reshoots and so on and so forth. But had this movie came out right after Eternals, like right after we saw the whole Celestial, and we was like, oh, now we can quickly address this and not let this thing linger on and whatever. I think this movie would have been received better compared to late in the game now, because even when you look at like the post-credit scene, you got the leader talking about like, oh, there are different worlds. I'm like, well, yeah, duh. We've been in the multiverse. Like, you're not telling me nothing to get me excited about nothing.
Yeah, right.
Like, where have you been? So like this is not news,
Right,
so to
right.
me, Cap 4 came out too late, similar to how Black Widow came out too late. If Black Widow had not been pushed aside, if Black Widow would have came out right after Civil War, or maybe right before Civil War, that would have been received a little bit better. But it's unfortunate. I don't agree with the overall sentiment. I personally, and this is me, I'm not knocking you or nobody else, I don't really like the idea of the extremes with this movie. I don't like the idea of people saying this is like one of the worst MCU movies. I don't believe that's true. And I don't believe that this movie is an MCU game changer. MCU is back, and I don't think that that's the case either. So I do think it should be higher than what it deserves on Rotten Tomatoes. And maybe the audience will see that. Maybe they'll kind of balance that out a little more, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second before we bounce. But we forgot to talk about one thing. I can't believe it. Harrison Ford. How did we forget to talk? Yeah, like I liked him. I actually feel like he wasn't playing Harrison Ford. He was actually playing Thunderbolt Ross because of the raspy voice. I love the dynamic between him and Sam. The conversation where he said rebuilding the Avengers worked very, very well for me. I even like the musical cue in the background. A friend of mine didn't like it. That was distracting, but I really did like it. It was a sound we never heard in the MCU before because I spoke earlier about the composition, the score, the conversation when Isaiah tried to execute him and they was in the bunker. The way that Sam bust through that bunker and was like, "Everybody get out of my way, or I will run your ass over and break your face." That was one of my favorite scenes. To me, that's when I was so like, this man can lead a film. This man can lead the Avengers. He looked good in the suit. When they was like, "Sam, you can't go in there," and the president was like, "No, everybody leave. Sam, you can stay." That conversation right there, it was like, "Well, hey man, I was cool with you, buddy, but he tried to kill me, so we got to lock him up." Loved it. Loved the performance. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, William Hurt. You was a great actor, sir, and sorry you're not with us anymore. Um, so rest in peace again. But E-Man, yeah, Harrison Ford, bro. How'd you feel?
He did his job. He was, he did a good thing. He did a good thing with this film. Really liked him as Red Hulk. I don't know. Like, this was kind of my initial concern going into this film, is that you needed some sort of gimmick to get people into theaters. Because when you look at Winter Soldier, you don't have that. You don't have aliens. You don't have a Hulk. You don't have no big shiny, crazy stuff going on. It's just straight up political drama. And I felt like this to me was just going to be another distraction from Sam. And it would just be something like, hey, look at this shiny thing over here, but let's ignore the fact that we don't have enough to build up the character of Sam, or to even touch on the real edgy politics that Captain America should be going against. But hey, we got a shiny red Hulk. So, but it worked. Like, he was entertaining. He,
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there like, oh, he's getting madder. He's getting madder. So like, I enjoyed it, but it, to me, it just kind of took away a little bit of the limelight from Sam.
I got you. All right, real quick, man. I got this list right here. All MCU films.
Yeah.
Now, what I did is, what going into this, I was like, no, walking out, I said, I said this is in my top 15 of the whole
Mhm.
MCU. Now, after reevaluating, it's definitely in my top 20. I would have to
Mhm.
think about it's in my top 15. So let me start at the bottom. 35 films, 35 is blank. If you look at these, Black Widow, Guardians 2, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, just these right here that you can see, would you say that Cap Brave New World is better than these right here that you can at least see on the
Which one
screen?
are we looking at?
This is, well, can you read that?
A little bit. Hold
Let me
on.
see if I
Let's
can
see.
make it bigger.
There we go. All right. Which
Okay.
number are we starting with, or
This
what
is the
range?
bottom. These are the
Okay.
these are the worst in the MCU to me right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black Widow.
Um. Ugh. I would probably put Age of Ultron just a little bit higher. I think it
Oh,
did get like a little bit.
this is not an order. These are just
Oh.
the worst of the MCU. These that you're looking
Oh.
at right here.
Um.
This is not in any order. It's just the worst of the MCU.
Yeah. Well, even if we say that these are the worst, like, I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was like entertaining.
Okay.
Oof.
And let me show you the best.
I
And
guess I guess for me, if I'm going off of this list right now, I would say you going too high. Scroll down. You going way
okay.
too high. Way too high. Wait,
This
stop
this
right
this is the
there.
bottom. This is the bottom.
Stop right there.
Gotcha.
And I already have a problem with Eternals being that high. That's already a problem right there.
It's not an order.
Um
It's not an order. It's not an order.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm gonna talk about what the order is right there.
Okay.
No, I think that Cap 4 falls somewhere in the 18 to 24 range. So
Okay.
it's
That's fair.
that middle, because to me, I thought it was an average film. Like, I thought it was, when you look at the totality of the MCU, because you can only compare the MCU with the MCU at this point. It's middle of the road. It's not something that personally I would want to come back and rewatch, but it's never going to be something that I think, is justified in saying it's as bad as the Marvels. If this came on versus the Marvels, I'm watching Cap 4.
Yeah.
I would have a real question if Cap 4 and Ant-Man 2 came on. I'd be like, maybe I'll go watch something else, but you know, that would be where I'd really struggle, maybe. I'd rather watch Multiverse of Madness over Cap 4. I would put that
Oh,
above it.
really? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I would.
Okay.
And that's not to say that these are greatest movies, again, because people overhype that. It's just, if I'm forced to pick one versus the other, that's the one I would pick above it. But yeah, I'd definitely pick it over Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor 1, Thor 2. Yeah. Incredible Hulk, I don't know.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
while the movie is bad, that is still the best depiction of Hulk
I'll give you
that we've
that.
seen in a long
Well, I'm
time.
gonna say this bad. Okay, now let me
It
just
is a
now
bad movie. It is a
I
bad movie.
I'm gonna let you make it. I'm gonna let you make it. Now, I think arguably universally. Uh, hold on.
Why is Ant-Man that high?
I like Ant-Man. Hold on.
Why is it number 7? You on mute. Hello. Hey, I can't hear you.
These are the best
Okay.
these are the best in the MC. Oh, what the hell am I doing? Jesus Christ, Gina. Oh Lord, there's E-Man's page. Subscribe. Hold on. What happened to my list? Dog
Hit the
it.
back, but yeah,
There we
go
go.
back.
Okay. Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Avengers 1, Infinity War, Endgame, Ant-Man, but that's
Like
questionable.
argument there. Ant-Man is way too high.
Black
That
Panther.
is way too high.
It's not in
Way too
order.
high.
Okay,
But
fine.
I know,
Fine.
but I'm just saying
Fine.
you're gonna trigger some people. That is
Okay.
way too high.
Let me put it down here.
Yeah, that's fine. Right around there. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I know people gonna go on in the comments. They're gonna be like, Brandon, take that down.
This is not an order, but the best.
It's not in order, but it needs
Black
to be
Panther, all 3 of the Spider-Man movies, Deadpool and Wolverine, Thor Ragnarok, first Guardians, third Guardians, Shang-Chi, and that's questionable. I really did like Captain America. So if you look at all these films, it's top 17.
Yeah.
I'm confident in saying that Cap 4 is in the top 20. I'm confident in saying that.
I mean, it's you know.
You said you like Doctor Strange more, and you like Incredible Hulk more.
Like, this is where you're starting to get into the gray area, right?
Okay.
Like, these are the movies that are like, they were good, but they weren't great, or they were all right, but they weren't mind-blowing. So at that point, it's like, it's just personal preference. Like, it's like, if you liked it that much, that's cool. For me, I don't really like to even argue anything after 15, like your top 15, because at that point it's like, one was a comedy, one wasn't you know what I'm saying, like one was a sequel. It gets kind of hard to really argue opinions at that point. But if you want to put it in your top 20, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I would maybe say 22-ish, if I had to just guess.
So I gave it an 8 out of 10 after everything. Do you have a rating yet, or you need to still think about it?
I've been waffling between 6.5 to 7. Ooh. I think I officially gave it a 7 though.
Yes. All right. Cool. I give it a 7. E-Man gives it I give it an 8. E-Man gives it a 7. I enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed this movie. I look forward to more, both Marvel movies and collabs with you, sir. Final thoughts before we head out of here? If anything at all, if you don't got nothing, it's cool.
Nah, man, I just wish Marvel had some more guts. That's all. Like, don't make a political movie if you're not gonna make it political. Like,
right on.
Don't just stop wasting our time. And at no point, because I know some people have been saying this, please do not even mention Black Panther energy or whatever with this movie. Like, if the movie is afraid to talk about blackness, it does not deserve black energy at that point. So just because a black man happens to be in the movie, it's not going to be the same. So no, I'm not with that.
Right on. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Follow us on social media. E-Man's information is in the description. And also, here's his channel right here. Please subscribe. As you can see, he has his out of theater reaction right here. Has a live every Friday. Can't wait to hear his thoughts there. And just a whole bunch of other cool stuff. He's also the king of From on YouTube as well. In anticipation for this film, I did do a rewatch of the whole series for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All of the episodes are uploaded on my channel right now. So after you watch this, go help your boy out and watch all of my rewatch episodes 30 times each. I would really appreciate that. Also, check out my coverage for Paradise. The show is awesome. It's on Disney Plus and Hulu. And I'm also covering Reacher Season 3. I have reactions to the first 2 seasons uploaded right now on my channel as well. But guys, again, we just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's E-Man, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.